Welcome aboard to this white Honda. But this isn't just any regular white Honda. This particular one has insanely configurable seats, an intercom system, a fully featured Blu-Ray player with HDMI hookup, a super smooth V6 engine, and it even features power sliding rear doors. Welcome aboard to the 2024 Honda Odyssey Elite. Let's get started. Before we begin, I'd love to give a massive shout out to Finley Honda for allowing me to come out and review this 2024 Honda Odyssey. For $52,000, you get a 3.5 liter V6 with 280 horsepower and 262 pound-feet of torque, mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission. And of course, it's a Honda, which means we have VTEC. So this thing is pretty quick and really fun to drive. Let's begin with the exterior. I really like the facelift that Honda did on this a couple years ago. It looks like it's smiling at you, but at the same time, it looks like it's got an evil eyebrow, and I love the look of that. We got full LED headlights here, and we have little halogen turn signals in the bumper. I find it a little weird that the halogens are kind of buried away up here. I wish they were up here with this profile, which looks fantastic, by the way. And I love the little LED fog light down here too. We also have your parking sensors up here, and I like the split of the two grills. It's definitely one of the best looking minivans out there right now, in my personal opinion. Now let's work our way down the side of this Odyssey Elite. This is my favorite trim level because it comes with these incredible wheels. They almost, to me, look like Audi's 5-spoke rotor wheels, but they're not quite. You can see they have a little split spoke in between each one there, making them really nice. And we also have some decent rubber on here too to make the ride nice and comfortable. Personally, this is the minivan I would want to have in my garage because it looks really nice. I also like how they kept the lightning bolt silhouette from the previous generation. I love that little swoop up right there. And overall, I just think the Honda made it look really cool and interesting, almost a little bit like the JDM Honda Odyssey. Now, I also like this floating roofline as well, which carries on to the backside of the Odyssey where we have, unfortunately, just halogen taillights and turn signals. I do wish we had LED, but I say wait a few years if you want LED. But in the meantime, you get bulbs that you can easily replace, so that's a win in my opinion. I also like how we have a powered tailgate back here as well. We have your Odyssey badge and we have your Elite badge, so everyone is reminded that you have the Elite trim level. I love that name, Elite, on a minivan. That's just awesome. We also have this rear wiper, and I really like how they did this spoiler. I like how they made this bit black to give the rest of the vehicle its character line. That's really nice. And I like how we have kind of like a fake spoiler with a built-in rear brake light as well as a washer jet, which means we can clean the back of the window from the front of the car, which is freaking awesome. Now let's go ahead and get into the interior of the Honda Odyssey, where we have this lovely leather-wrapped steering wheel with a bunch of controls. These are for your cruise control. We also have radar-guided cruise control as well. We have a heated steering wheel. This enables and disables your cruise control, and we also have your lane keeping assist right there too. The horn sounds pretty good. We also have your buttons over here that control your radio, so you have your back and next buttons. Love to see that. This is for hanging up and answering calls. This controls your voice. This is the home button for this center screen. So you can see you can choose between different things with these up and down arrows. We can enable a trip computer or your phone. It does a little bit more though. I'll show you guys that in a bit. We also have these volume controls, which are awesome. I really like how they jump quite a bit when you adjust the volume. That part I really appreciate. We also have paddle shifters, which is insane to see on a minivan. We do have a 10-speed automatic transmission, which is really, really fun. Our turn signal stalks feel really nice and dampened. We have full headlight controls as well as fog lights. And on this side, we have a nice rear wiper control right over there. And this controls the rest of your wipers, including your intermittency settings. Now, we also have a tilt and telescoping steering wheel. So there's lots of tilt and lots of telescoping, so you can get really comfortable in your Honda Odyssey. Down here, we have your buttons to open and close your sliding doors, which you're going to turn on and off right there. We have your button to open your lift gate. This turns off your traction control. This button is quite cool. This allows you to enable and disable your road departure mitigation, your blind spot information system, and your collision mitigation braking system, which automatically enables itself every single time you start the car. If you don't want it to automatically brake check you, if there's something in the way of the sensor, you do have to turn that off every single time, but it's nice that it is included at all. Now, this button also enables enables and disables your parking sensors, you can see with the little icon of the car right there. I think that that's really fun. These control your e-brake. So this is actually not the traditional e-brake. You actually push in to enable the brake, and you actually pull out to disable it. We also have a brake hold right here, which is really nice, especially if you're on a hill. Over here we have 2 stages of memory seats, which is freaking awesome, and it even lights up to indicate which memory seat setting you're currently on, which is awesome, especially if you don't want to overwrite someone else's settings. That's nice. I also like these gloss black door handles. It's not often that we see gloss black on door handles. It's common we see it on the trim, but not so much on the door handles. Down here we have some very easy to use mirror controls with power folding mirrors. Oh yeah, that's how you know we're in luxury territory, boys. We have full-on power fold mirrors. We also have your lock and unlock buttons here, window locks, one-touch down and up windows, especially for the back. Fun fact, the Honda Odyssey was actually the first minivan in the States to have roll-down windows back in 2005. Now let's take a look at the door panels real quick. You can see that we have a nice little shelf here, a nice kind of like a fake cup holder kind of thing, but we have even more bottle pockets down here. So you have 2 tiers of bottle pockets plus your speaker. Working our way to the center stack here, this is definitely where the Odyssey gets very interesting. We have this nice head unit with wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. No wireless just yet, but it's very fluid and incredibly easy to use. I also like the volume dial. You can see it's very easy to jump from low to high volume if you want. The one thing I don't like is how all the buttons are touch sensitive. I do wish they did physical buttons like they do on the newer generation Hondas, but I'm sure we'll be getting that in a few years, but not a major drawback considering we have physical volume dials. I also really like how we have physical climate controls. You can see they're incredibly easy to use, and we also have a zone for the driver, a zone for the passenger, and a zone for your entire rear area, which we'll look at in a bit. Very nice to see there. You can press this button to control just the rear, and it gives you a little touchscreen control so you can see everything going on. But again, you don't have to use that, and I really appreciate that because it's hard to use a touchscreen while you're driving. Down here we have heated and ventilated seats for both the driver and passenger. That is awesome to see. They're also both powered, which is nice. Love the beige on this with the perforation. Very comfortable seats with their own armrests, and they even have different levels of adjustment too, so you can get really comfortable. The one thing that's a little weird is how I have to put my elbow here, and my hand comes up a little high on the steering wheel. I also wish that my elbow would be a little bit closer on this side as well, but it's not really a big deal. That's my one thing that I liked about the Toyota Sienna a little bit more than this Honda Odyssey, but that is quite all right. We also have our hazard button light right there. This turns off your automatic start-stop. This is a nice snow mode, which is really fun. Love to have that especially because this is a front-wheel drive. No all-wheel drive just yet like the Toyota Sienna has. And we have your Econ button, which basically, I assume this times your shifts to save fuel. I've used the Econ mode before, and you do notice a little bit of fuel savings over time, but again, it just makes your shifts a little bit slower to respond. It's basically like the opposite of sport mode, which I have not seemed to find yet. We do have an S mode here, but that is obviously your manual shift mode for your paddle shifters. This is quite an interesting transmission here. This is park, this is reverse, this is neutral, and this is drive, and then you can press again for sport. You can see it turns to S right there. Let's go ahead and put that back into park as we continue to take a look at the interior. But again, this isn't my favorite shifter. I wish it was just a regular shifter, but I understand how they did this so it didn't get in the way of the climate controls. I also like the air vents. They're in the perfect spots over here. Working our way to the passenger side, I love how we have a fully lockable glove box with decent space. We have all-weather floor mats down here, and of course, the door panel here mirrors that of the driver's side. Working our way up, we have this little sun visor with a convenience light, and they're very, very long, so there's no need for them to extend. As you can see, it already goes pretty far. I like how there's a conversation mirror, we'll get into that in a minute, and a sunglass holder, plus sunroof controls. We just have a regular sunroof, no panoramic, but that's where your DVD player goes, and we'll check that out in a minute too. We also have halogen convenience lights to give you a nice warm feel, and that I really appreciate. But we're not done yet. We have some really cool features going on in this head unit. That would be cabin watch and cabin talk. Now let's start with cabin watch. So what is cabin watch? Well, it allows you to watch your cabin. You can see everything going on back there, including my little hand doing whatever. I can peace out to you guys right there, or I can just kind of keep waving, whatever I want to do. That's really fun. So Cabin Watch allows you to do a lot of stuff, but it's not just Cabin Watch that we have. We also have Cabin Talk. Now, Cabin Talk allows you to speak to your rear passengers if you want. I haven't gotten it to work just yet, but you can see, you can almost kind of hear my voice if I speak at the right pitch, and it kind of echoes my voice throughout the interior, which is really, really fun. It kind of just creates an extra echo. As a matter of fact, I might actually place my phone in the third row and I'll speak from up front here. Let's try that out. This is a demonstration of Cabin Talk in the Honda Odyssey. Please make sure to subscribe to Trisportation for more epic minivan reviews. The Toyota Sienna doesn't offer this, but the Honda Odyssey does. Of course, I am putting my phone in the third row for dramatic effect. Thank you for watching my demonstration of the Cabin Talk system. Working our way toward the bottom, we have a Blu-ray player, a USB-A port, a household power outlet without the third prong. It's fully rotatable, and we have a 12-volt socket plus some floor storage down there. We have this little guy that slides out, giving you even more storage. We have two cup holders in this little center stack here, a wireless charger, and even more storage where we have our headphones, and we have this nice little remote hidden in here too. Plus we have an auxiliary port here, which is nice to see on a 2024 vehicle, and another USB-A port. I do wish there was Type-C, but again, these are kind of the older body style, I guess, compared to the newer Hondas, so that's quite all right. I also like this little cable pinch here. That's really fun to see, allowing you to basically have your cable cleanly hanging out of there. A nice little trade-off, seeing as we don't get wireless Apple CarPlay just yet. Now, working our way toward the back, we have more cup holders. We have more controls down here. We have two USB-A ports and an HDMI port. Why do we need an HDMI port in a minivan? Well, if we work our way up here, not only do we have our Cabin Watch camera, but we have a DVD player in a 2024 minivan, or a Blu-ray player, I should say. This is the funnest thing to see. I absolutely love that we have a full-on DVD player in the back. So let's go ahead and close the door for some added quiet as I show you guys the door panel of this Odyssey. Now we also have a sun visor. This one's a little bit different than other cars because it actually hooks on from behind instead of in front. We have a little bit of shade. Let's go ahead and turn on a convenience light, which is honestly only enableable if you turn it on over here. So if we switch that to on, we can switch all of the lights on. Give us a nice little shade in the back, nice little illumination, I should say. Over on this side, we have your climate controls for the back. They're really easy to use. They're all physical buttons. We have our grab handles there. And let's take a look at the back seat comfort. With this seat in my default driving position, I have loads of legroom and I have loads of headroom back here as well. Very comfortable back seat. I love the atmosphere in the back of this Honda Odyssey. We also have this little center armrest here, but wait, it's not just a center armrest. If I pull this little tab here and I pull this up with my knee, it's actually an 8th seat. We have an 8-seater minivan here. This seat's actually pretty comfortable. It's got some decent cushioning, but before we look at that, let's look at the two armrests. These armrests are honestly really thin. They're like the width of my fingers, which is really funny, but we do have them anyway if you want them. If you want to rest your arm on this side, especially since we can't have an armrest on the sliding door, you have that option. Now, of course, we have one touch down and up, as I mentioned earlier. Your window locks are right there. This opens and closes your door manually, but we can use this button to open and close the door. We also have an air vent here, cup holders here, and a little foam pocket here with even more storage here. Plus, we have backseat pockets, which are really nice. We have them in both seats, but in this one, they actually give you a little phone compartment. How neat is that? Although they seem to be missing one for the driver's side. The Honda Pilot does have it in both sides, so that's something to consider. But overall, it's a nice place to be back here. Let's take a look at the middle seat comfort real quick. It's actually one of the most comfortable middle seats I've sat in a while. I get lots of headroom and a full-on view of that Blu-ray player. That is quite awesome. Love to see that there. Obviously, it's going to hinder your rear visibility just a little bit, but again, really fun to see in a family car. Now, these seats have some tricks up their sleeve, so bear with me here. These seats can fully slide by grabbing this track right here. This is as far back as they go. They also recline, allowing me to sit back and relax in my Honda Odyssey, but it gets even crazier than that because if I remove this middle seat, which does take two hands, let me put the camera down for just 1 second. You can see it frees up a little more space in the floor, but look at this. We have a little track here. What does that do? Well, let me show you. If we go over here, grab this little handle, we can actually slide the seats toward the middle so we can have easy access to the third row. So you can have these two seats right next to each other. We can do it on either side, as I'll demonstrate now. You can have them part of the way toward the middle, in the middle if you want to be close to your passenger, or you can have it fully off to the driver's side, giving the passenger plenty of access to the third row, which I'll show you guys now. Back here, we actually have a decent amount of space. We have a decent amount of legroom, and we have a decent amount of headroom. Plus, these seats are reclined all the way back right now. They can be easily reclined by pulling this little tab and pull these seats further forward if you want less recline, or you can pull them back again to get even more reclining in your seats. So they're very customizable, giving you lots of room to relax in the back of your Honda Odyssey. We also have a USB-A port, auxiliary port, and adjustable volume. Now this is for the DVD player, so yes, even the third row passengers can enjoy that convenience. We also have cup holders, your own air vent. We have our own sunshades back here too, which is nice. I believe they hook on like that. So even the third row gets its own sunshades, which is awesome. They also get their own convenience light. They have a 12-volt socket on this side, an auxiliary jack over here too, and their own air vent with 2 more cup holders. So overall, no matter where you sit in the Honda Odyssey, you get all the amenities you could ever want. But it gets better than this, because if we go to the rear liftgate area of the Honda Odyssey, where we have a fully powered liftgate with a nice loud beep to let everyone know that it's opening. And back here, we have quite a deep floor, giving you loads of room. I like how there's little storage pockets here and here if you want to keep some extra stuff, such as maybe a first aid kit. We have even more storage here with a little convenience 12-volt socket. And these are called the Magic Seats. So what are Magic Seats? Well, if I pull this lever, if I pull that forward and let the seatbelt out of the way, they fold right into the floor. And I actually think these are a little bit easier than the Toyota Sienna, but as you can see, we can have it in a bit of a tailgate mode. So you could hypothetically sit like this and sit out the back of your trunk. You can see I didn't get it all the way down that time, so we'll just pull it one more time. So it says we just need to basically keep the momentum going into the floor. The only thing is that that seatbelt should not be buckled. But once that's all taken care of, you have a ton of space in the back seat of your Honda Odyssey. However, we can gain just a little bit more space. We can actually remove all of the seats inside, including the outer seats. You can see it actually keeps the seat bases, and we have a giant amount of rear room back here, making it bigger than a Toyota Sienna since we can take out the seats. However, the only downside is that you have to find some place in your garage to put these, because you can't really put these in the floor or anything. But hey, you could have a nice little couch or something like that. That'd be pretty fun, right? So you have a ton of space inside of your Odyssey, and you're turning it into a cargo van now, giving you loads of room to put whatever you may need back here. And I think that that's freaking awesome. But we're not done just yet. We have to take a look at the driving impressions of the 2024 Honda Odyssey. How is it? Well, Hondas have a reputation for being really fun to drive, and this definitely follows that as well. The steering actually has a lot of connection to the road, more than you think. It's got a light feel, so it's really easy to do low speed maneuvers, but it feels plenty connected. I can feel the car move around just from moving the steering wheel, which is freaking awesome. I love that. Steering wheel controls, once again, are easy to use. The driving position is really good, although I wish this armrest was a little bit lower, and I wish this one was just a little bit closer. Again, not a big deal. We also have top-mounted pedals instead of bottom-mounted pedals, but again, it doesn't really affect how the vehicle drives. The brake pedals, on the other hand, are actually pretty sensitive, so it's really easy to stop this Honda Odyssey when you need to, because this is a bigger car than you might think. But acceleration is pretty quick. You will find yourself getting to around 5,000 RPMs pretty quickly if you're trying to get on the highway, but it does it pretty quickly, pretty easily, and the ride on the freeway is also extremely smooth. Plus, we have our cruise control as well if we are going on those longer drives, which I really appreciate. I like all the in-car tech too, having the DVD player, having the cabin talk, the Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. This has every feature you could possibly need, and even some that you might not ever need. Also, part of the driving experience is those ventilated seats. These are so nice in the summer, and even on some warmer winter days when your back's all sweaty, this really takes care of it. But these seats as well are very comfortable. I like the big bolsters, which means I could take a several-hour road trip at the wheel, at the helm of this Honda Odyssey, and be absolutely comfortable. And plus we have that V6 instead of a hybrid powertrain, which is awesome. The only thing the Honda Odyssey is missing is all-wheel drive. And on that note, this has been another Trisportation video. Thank you guys so much for watching my review of my favorite minivan out on the market right now, the 2024 Honda Odyssey Elite. I will see you guys on the next one, and as always, drive safe.